Meet the Press, instead of covering Gaza at all, decided to do a over 1 hour interview with Donald Trump, and they showed, much of it on their main show. But basically, their main show was a Donald Trump interview and a very short panel. So let's take a look at our first clip from Donald Trump's interview with Kristen Welker. And here he is asked a pretty basic question. Let's see how he responds.
Secretary of State says everyone who's here, citizens and non-citizens, deserve due.
Here, hold on a second.
Your Secretary of State says everyone who's here, citizens and non-citizens, deserve due process. Do you agree, Mr. President?
I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know.
Well, the Fifth Amendment says
I don't know. It might say that, but if you're talking about that, then we'd have to have 1 million or 2 million or 3 million trials. We have thousands of people that are some murderers and some drug dealers and some of the worst people on earth, some of the worst, most dangerous people on earth. And I was elected to get them the hell out of here, and the courts are holding me from doing it.
But even given those numbers that you're talking about, don't you need to uphold the Constitution of the United States as president?
I don't know. I have to respond by saying again, I have brilliant lawyers that work for me, and they are going to obviously follow what the Supreme Court said. What you said is not what I heard the Supreme Court said. They have a different interpretation.
Is anyone in your...
According to Donald Trump, I don't know if I have to uphold the Constitution that I was sworn to defend.
Right.
That's his oath of office. That's his oath of office. That's the whole point of taking the oath of office. You swear to uphold the Constitution. And now he's saying, yeah, I'm not so sure about that.
Yeah. I mean, can you blame him? He's not a lawyer, Aaron. It's the Holman excuse also. They really have a hard time answering whether or not they're going to have due process. And they have various go-to lines, which is, I'm not a lawyer. Holman said that also, his immigrations are. They also have the Holman line where did insert person who was killed by an undocumented person, did they get due process? And it's well, actually, there was due process. There was a prosecution of the person who killed her, and they are in jail. But that's not really relevant to whether or not you're going to impose due process. So, yeah, he doesn't. He does. Someone just, no true flags here. He does say the quiet part out loud again. Unbelievable. Okay. So next we have a clip from the same interview where he's asked about basically how long he's going to stay in office. Let's take a look.
That for international security.
The Trump organization is selling hats that say Trump 2028.
Yeah.
Are you seriously considering a third term, Mr. President, even though it's prohibited by the Constitution? Or is this about staying politically viable?
I will say this. So many people want me to do it. Mm-hmm. I have never had requests so strong as that. But it's something that, to the best of my knowledge, you're not allowed to do. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's constitutional that they're not allowing you to do it or anything else, but there are many people selling the...
Again, guys, he's not a lawyer, so he doesn't know.
2028 hat. But this is not something I'm looking to do. I'm looking to have 4 great years and turn it over to somebody, ideally a great Republican, to carry it forward. But I think we're going to have 4 years, and I think 4 years is plenty of time to do something really spectacular.
The Constitution does prohibit it. Some of your allies are pretty serious about this, though, Mr. President. I've spoken to them. They say they are coming up with potential ways. Well, obviously, the biggest one will be a constitutional amendment.
That's because they like the job I'm doing, and it's a compliment.
Has anyone in an official capacity presented you with, sir, here are some ideas by which you could actually get a constitutional amendment?
Well, in a capacity of being a big supporter of many people have said different things, but I'm not looking at that.
You have built a political movement that has transformed the Republican Party. It's transformed the country, quite frankly.
Political movement in history, MAGA. Make America great again.
When you look...
I like the way he's reminding us what it stands for. Okay.
To the future, Mr. President, do you think the MAGA movement can survive without you as its leader?
Yes, I do.
It sounds like she really doesn't want him to go. She's asked him multiple questions so are there ways you've explored running for president? And hey, listen, what about MAGA? It's a great movement. And can they really survive without you if Your Excellency no longer is at the helm. So
Yeah.
maybe Kirsten Walker is all in for MAGA.
I mean, we don't have time to play all the clips from that interview, but wow, is she like gushing when she is gets to see his place in Mar-a-Lago? She gets so excited. She's like taking it all in. He's telling her about his plans to have a ballroom in the White House. Wilson, play the second part of that clip, please.
You have to be kidding. I don't know what they're going to do.
Okay, so here he is talking about how he thinks that MAGA is viable. It's the greatest political movement ever. And now he's talking about how he's worried about the Democrats not having anyone in their movement. Okay.
And I really believe in a two-party system. Because it's good to be challenged. It's really good to have a two-party. You know, it's good. Being challenged is okay. It keeps you sharp. I don't know what they're going to do. They have nobody. Bernie's 87 years old or something. And, you know, Biden is the worst thing that ever happened to old people because he was grossly incompetent. And I think maybe for artificial reasons. You know, he had operations and things. So maybe that's an artificial. But I know people that are unbelievably sharp and they're older than 87. But I watch Bernie Sanders. He's a nut job, but he's still sharp. He's sharp as he's the same guy he was. He hasn't gone down. But Biden is really, he's the worst thing to happen to old people.
I like that. I like that Trump is, really concerned with representation, identity politics. And he thinks that, Biden did not represent the elderly well. I do have to agree with him there. And I also appreciate how honest he is about Bernie Sanders. Like, he calls him a nut job. He thinks he's a nut job, but he's as sharp as he ever was. And I'm particularly impressed that he said something remotely complimentary about Bernie, even though he calls him a nut job, because Bernie's been so, so incredibly critical of him. But sometimes he does let the truth, he does drop these truth nuggets that others won't.
I think he makes a very valid point about Biden too.
Yes.
Biden did do a lot of damage to, people's perceptions of the elderly, and that's the fault not only of Biden but the people around him who covered up for his cognitive decline, including the corporate media, which now wants to, say, "Oh yeah, maybe we didn't do such a good job of covering Biden," when really they were actively involved in the cover up. Remember when in that horrible debate with Biden and Trump, where Biden bragged about how we finally beat Medicare. The Biden team, like the same people around Biden who were covering up for his decline, they put out a statement saying, "Oh yeah, by the way, Biden has a cold, so he's not feeling very well. He has a cold." And then this was treated as like breaking news, everyone, like as we're watching Biden melt down in real time. Biden has a cold, and we're supposed to all okay, let's just ignore what we're seeing on the screen in front of us. Biden unable to speak coherently because he has a cold, and everybody took part in that. And so it wasn't just Biden who did all of us and the elderly especially a disservice. It was the people around him.
Right. Yeah, and Trump is also right when he says that the Democrats really don't have anyone. So there again, he's saying something truthful. I will say though, he's not quite as popular as he claims he is. And a recent poll in The Economist found that only 41% of Americans approve of him, 53% disapprove. So we'll see. Not sure it's the most powerful political movement ever.
All right. Well, if we have time later in the show, we'll hear more of this Trump interview. I want to play one more clip, though. This is Trump talking about, something that he didn't really say much about on the campaign trail, but as soon as he got into office, this became a major fixation of his, which is taking over Greenland and possibly Canada as well.
They need us. We don't need them.
You and I talked, and I asked you if you would rule out military force to take Greenland, and you said no, you don't rule out anything. Would you rule out military force to take Canada?
Well, I think we're not going to ever get to that point. It could happen. Something could happen with Greenland. I'll be honest. We need that for national and international security.
But not with
I think
Canada?
It's highly unlikely. I don't see it with Canada. I just don't see it. I have to be honest with you.
Okay, but you...
Aaron, how are you feeling as a Canadian?
Well, he's compromising. He's saying, okay, listen, we're not going to take Canada by military force. I don't see it, at least. Ha ha ha. But Greenland, yes, sorry, we're going to have to take Greenland by military force. We need
Right.
that for national security, but we'll compromise. And for now, we're not going to take Canada by military force. So
He doesn't think it'll come
that's
to
the
that.
pragmatic. That's that pragmatic side of Donald Trump that moderates are looking for. He's willing to compromise
Exactly.
here. Greenland invasion, yes. Canada invasion, not for now.
He does say how much he'll cherish the people of Greenland.
Well, stay tuned for the invasion of Greenland under Donald J. Trump, and maybe he'll give a speech like George W. Bush did, saying "Mission accomplished"
Oh yeah,
from beautiful Greenland.
with a codpiece,
yeah.
like George W. Bush. That wonderful codpiece. It'll be a codpiece that says "Make America Great Again."